Okay, I think we can start. Morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Jabal Hassanali, Strategy Manager for GLISPA, and I'll be moderating today's call. As you know, the GLISPA Community Call is an opportunity for all our members to kind of sit back, stand back, and kind of look, because we all tend to get caught in all those silos working in this field, but this is an opportunity for us to kind of see what others are doing and engage and synergize and work smarter, not harder. So I think it's really important to have these calls, and I'm really happy for those who are able to join us today. And for sometimes it might be inconvenient depending on where you're calling from, but we have a wide range of people from many different places, and I think we're going to have a very interesting call today. Just to briefly go through our agenda today, we just want to meet our new members who recently joined from EarthX and EDF. We'll have remarks from our new GLISPA board chair, Ambassador Gerald Zackios from Republic of Marshall Islands. He's taking over from Palau, our former chair, Ambassador Hirsi Kiwata. So welcome aboard, Ambassador, and glad to have you with us. So he just wants to share a few remarks. Then Paula will be updating us on some GLISPA news and the latest from our side in terms of what's been happening with us. I will do a brief update on Bright Spots. Kate will do a brief update on Local 2030 Islands Network. Some very interesting developments. Those are two main pillars in terms of our work program for the year. Kate would then go through some opportunities to engage in new projects like this was involved in. So that would be a very interactive part of the session for you to kind of speak to your programs and projects. We won't have a formal introduction session because we have a lot of participants in the call, but please feel free to say who you are in the chat and your organization. And when you do take the floor, please use the hand feature and also state your name and your organization when you want to make an intervention. There'll be lots of opportunities throughout the call to do so. We want to make this as interactive and productive as possible. We also have a special member highlight, and we want to do this more often on these calls. And this will be our first time doing it for our member in the Siargao Islands in the Philippines. A very special message from them in the face of a hurricane, a typhoon they suffered last year, but a bright spot in the sense of the type of resilience they're showing. So looking forward to show that video, and the Vice Mayor is here to take any questions we have after that brief presentation. And then we'll have an open discussion on the road to our oceans, which is probably the first major Canada event for the year, I think, for us that will be live. And I think a lot of us on the call will have a lot of different things going on during that conference. So it'll be good to strategize and synergize regarding our oceans. And then we'll have some closing remarks by Kate. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have some new GLISPA members, and I want to put them on the spot and invite them to take the floor to share why they have decided to join our island partnership, talk about their expectations and their priorities for working islands in 2022, and what they might want other members to know about. So first off, I'd like to invite Gerald from EDF to take the floor. I mean, these EarthX, both EarthX and EDF have been friends of GLISPA for a very long time. They're not strangers to anyone here, I don't think, but they took the big jump and the leap to make it official, and we're really excited to have them on board. So Gerald.
Thanks so much, Jabal. And I think I used the chat to say hi to everyone, but only sent it to Priscilla, I think. I'm not sure, but thank you. It's great to be here. First, congratulations, Ambassador Zackios, on becoming the chair. A fantastic partnership. You now in the driver's seat for it. That's great. And I just want to say thank you. And look, it's great to be on another GLISPA call, and this time introducing the Environmental Defence Fund. really to my favorite partnership. And that's largely why we've joined. I'll get into a little more detail. You know, EDF, just a little bit of background. So EDF was born about 50 years ago, around the time of the Stockholm Conference on the Human Environment. For those of us watching the international calendar, that's yeah, that is 50 years ago. I was around 10, so that gives my age away. It's become one of the largest environmental organizations with over 2 million members, but has moved from what was largely, how do you bring the science and economics and advocacy together to create change, focused originally on pollution, in fact, that was affecting biodiversity and human health, to one that is now really largely focused on climate change. And whilst we focus on oceans and forests and health and energy, all of that channels through this challenge of the next decade and the next 30, 40 years, which is climate change. What does this mean for GLISPA? It means you will have an active partner thinking about one of the existential challenges, not only for islands, but for our planet. I realize, having worked with GLISPA before, that it's a partnership that needs, basically what you put in is what you get out, that it needs us to be supporting each other around common objectives for islands. Right now, we're focused quite heavily on climate resilient fisheries and food systems, and what that means for islands and countries with islands. We work in Southeast Asia, in Latin America, the Caribbean, and in the Pacific. Most of that's entirely through partners and partnerships like GLISPA. We're new, and we're looking forward to figuring out how we can be most helpful around those areas of work at the moment. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Great to be back with GLISPA.
Thanks, Gerald. And in true GLISPA fashion, we're already running behind time, but so Matt, I just want to quickly come in now and introduce yourself and EarthX. Not sure.
I think he's running late. Yeah, he's running late. Okay.
Well, moving on to the man of the moment, our new GLISPA board chair, Ambassador Gerald Zackios. Great to have you on board, Ambassador. Would you like to share some quick remarks?
Thank you very much, Jabal. Let me begin by wishing everyone a good day wherever our time zones may be. I also wish to begin by conveying my sincere appreciation to those who conveyed their congratulatory message on tweet page. Thank you all very much. And I want to thank my namesake, Gerald, for your kind words today. Well, greetings again, GLISPA community and friends. I wish to also welcome our friends from Siargao Islands, Philippines, but also all the new members here today. It is indeed my absolute honor and privilege to address you today as the new GLISPA board chair. The Republic of the Marshall Islands has been involved with the Global Island Partnership of ours from its inception, and we stand ready to assume the mantle of leadership from Palau, and in particular from His Excellency Ambassador Ursi Gyota, a dear friend. I wish to take this moment to publicly acknowledge and thank Ursi for the excellent leadership and job he has done stewarding GLISPA for the last 5 years. It was a great pleasure to work under his leadership and serving on the board. And I hope to be able to fill these considerable shoes as we forge ahead, building on the great foundation set by Ersi and previous chairs. It is great to be on this community call with our members and friends. These calls are important opportunities to synergize efforts among our membership, build alliances, and together ensure that we have the biggest impact possible to improve the lives of everyone on islands. Our membership is growing, and I think this call, or rather I believe this call, our presence and enthusiasm generated is proof that GLISPA is on the right track and that we all are pulling together in the same direction for a common good. Before we get into the exciting agenda that Jabal outlined, I just wanted to briefly highlight some of my priorities for partnership this year that Kate and the rest of the team will delve into deeper on this call. This being said, I would also appreciate your feedback and advice. Firstly, I am extremely excited about what we have in store for the Local 2030 Islands Network, of which the Republic of the Marshall Islands is a founding member. GLISPA, as you know, is the co-secretariat for the network, and this year we are really focused on driving up membership and are hoping to hit a target of at least 20 island economy members in 2022. I don't foresee any problems reaching this target as the network begins its work in earnest, launching communities of practice on the topics of clean energy and resilience, and climate data and the dashboards. These COPs offer real opportunities for the network's members to learn from each other and benefit from technical expertise of partner agencies with vast resources, including the ATF, which we have just listened to, and the knowledge of high-performance island members for each of these topics. The network is also in the process of approving its 2025 strategy, and I was very excited to look into it. And one of the key pillars of its strategic plan that I'm really excited about is building the network as a global platform to bring island solutions and values to help the world access the climate crisis. Address the climate crisis status. We see the Local 2030 Island Network as an extension of GLISPA's core values and founding principles, and the rightful place to realize our dream of all islands being represented in the margins of international events, convening eye-level meetings, and issuing joint declarations on critical global policies to advance sustainable development and climate action. We are set to begin this new chapter, starting with the Oceans Conference in Koror, Palau, later in April. Second priority is to ensure GLISPA continues not only to advocate for islands, but ensure that we facilitate as many opportunities for young islanders as we possibly can in the sustainability space. Our core staff are our islanders, and the services we contract come from islands, and our funding is hosted by an island entity, the Micronesian Conservation Trust. We appreciate their generosity, and I would also look forward to additional resources that continue to build on the good work that this organization does. This is all deliberate, and we plan to ramp these efforts up by restarting our internship program, as well as launching our inaugural Bright Spot Fellowship program as part of our continued partnership with the GEF Small Grants Program. Yesterday, I spoke with colleagues, Jamal, Paula, and Kate, about my excitement about internship, and I really look forward to us being all part of this and pushing it. In closing, a big part of our call today will be to discuss our collective plans for our oceans, which I think represents a wonderful opportunity for networking and in-person collaboration. I can confirm that GLISPA will be on the ground for our oceans with a number of different hats on. I mentioned Local 2030 Islands Network already, but also in an advisory capacity to the Micronation Challenge, which is celebrating its 16th anniversary this year. This is fitting, given that President Reminiscent was one of the founders of this important organization, and where we will be announcing new 2030 commitments. Additionally, through the Coalition of Fragile Ecosystems, we will also be announcing the launch of a new tourism project in the Pacific. And coincidentally, the Local 30 Island Network will also be launching a new community of practice on the topic of sustainable tourism at our oceans as well. We are very to have Jabal and Paula having that expertise to push us along. Lots to discuss, and we look forward to hearing your own plans and ideas in a true community fashion. As I say in the Marshall Islands, and I say to you, Yahweh Komodada, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for those great words. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to be an excellent, excellent board chair as we move full throttle into this new chapter. Next on the program, we have Paula, my colleague, partnerships manager for GLISPA, and she'll be going through different GLISPA news in terms of our engagement. Paula?
Hi, and welcome again, everyone. One of our goals for this year is to increase our visibility, especially on our social media platforms, and also to help amplify the work of our members. As such, to achieve this, we hired a part-time social media consultant. Her name is Ava Atherton. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us today, so this is a very lovely picture of her. Ava is an island colleague of Jabal. She resides in Trinidad and Tobago. She works along with Jabal and our communications advisor, Martha Shaw. Ava is a writer, a content creator, and aspiring cultural activist. She has a background in journalism, linguistics, art and cultural enterprise management, and her work has been published in Trinidad and Tobago, Japan, the United States, and the United States. Another area that we've done is that we have launched our new website at the end of 2021. We were very excited about it. I'm going to share a little bit of it with you. We have done a bit on the membership. So our memberships are our members are more prominently featured, as you can see here. They're featured based on islands, island entities, countries with islands, IGOs and NGOs. I think everybody who is a member is currently listed. If your logo is not there, please feel free to send it to us so that we can ensure that you are there. One of the key features of the website is our bright spots. You can actually access the bright spots by themes. We had a new bright spots logo created, and you can select the theme that you want to see which bright spots you are interested in and to learn. There are a lot of interesting bright spots, and we encourage you to go to the website and have a look at it. We also have a very intuitive events calendar where you can see the different events that GLISPA is participating in or is organizing, as well as international events. And we're asking our members, if there are any event that you would like us to showcase, please send it to us so we can also feature it on our website. We've also increasing, as I said, our members outreach, and we have a new feature which is called a member spotlight, which is an informational session showcasing innovative solutions facilitated by our members. And it is also an opportunity to provide the opportunity for connecting, networking, and sharing. And the first session will be held on March 30th, and it will feature the Belly's Debt Swap, which will be hosted in collaboration with TNC. So we will be promoting that, and we also be sending out invitations. So we hope that you would be able to join us for that event. Our GLISPA calendar, we have a lot of activities. Kate would speak to it, some of the activities that are there. But we also have a number of Bright Spots events. We have Bright Spots that would be held in March, June, July, September, and November. Most of them are aligned to international conferences. Kate, could you speak a bit more on the other activities, please?
Yeah, so in this, we've just kind of highlighted some things that our members are doing and other things that we're involved in some way in terms of either doing an event or doing and putting something into it. So we'll share this with everyone, including our oceans, where we plan a bunch of things, so we can talk about that later. The EarthX, the CBD COP, we're still not sure. We think we'll do a Bright Spot event in the margins of that, depending when it is. And then some UN-oriented things and the UNFCCC. So you'll see there's a bunch of, on the right-hand side of this table, it kind of indicates why we're getting involved in that or what we're trying to do. And that's that. Thanks.
You would have heard Ambassador Zackios mention our internship. Now this program, well, it was originally a GLISPA Fellowship, and it was launched in 2012 to help engage islanders and individuals passionate about islands to help support the implementation of GLISPA's strategy. And this year we've decided to relaunch this. Basically, the criteria are as follows: an islander or someone with a demonstrated passion for islands, someone who has alignment to GLISPA values and ethos, who is solution-based and willing to get things done, someone who is currently studying at a university. You can both be, we open to undergraduates or postgraduates, and also an eagerness to support GLISPA. You'd hear a lot more about this, and if you know anyone probably who would make a great intern, please feel free to recommend them to us, because we think they would be key to help us going forward with our plans and objectives for this year and continuing. We also will be looking at reviewing our strategy to ensure that our objectives are still relevant and that they relate back to our mission, vision, and values. Some of the activities will include the formulation of a small strategy committee. There would also be a survey questionnaire for our stakeholders so that we can gain feedback on our strengths, our gaps, and our opportunities. And there would also be a council meeting of all GLISPA members to ensure that we have a robust articulation of our work for the next 5 years. This activity will be led by Jenny Hawes, and we expect the outcome to be a clear set of strategic recommendation and a future roadmap for our partnership to enable improved engagement and collaboration with our members and increased and sustained performance. That's it. It's now on to Jabal to tell us a little bit more about our Bright Spots.
Thank you, Paula. Well, before I go into the Bright Spots update, I see Matt from EarthX is on the call now, so I just want to give him the opportunity to say a few words as our new member. You didn't get away, Matt, so the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Jabal. It's great to see everyone. You know, EarthX is an international environmental nonprofit that was started about 11 years ago by an environmental philanthropist named Trammell Crow. Over the years, it really began as an in-person event here in Dallas, Texas, where I'm based. In 2019, the last year before the pandemic, 170,000 people came out to EarthX, which is, you know, a film festival, conferences, expo, everything you can think about, but really finding ways to bring people together and find ways to connect those dots. And so EarthX is returning to its first in-person event since 2019. When the pandemic hit, you know, not only really, I think, forced the organization to reimagine the purpose of in-person convenings and really make sure that the value proposition justified people getting on planes these days and actually traveling to attend. But also with regard to content, Trammell was convinced, I think, in the world of Zooms and all these inner panels on computers, that the future of storytelling was really building out and launching an environmental network, a TV network. And so he has brought on an executive leadership team from Discovery, Planet Green, kind of within the entertainment world, to come together and launch what will be a 24/7 environmental network, specifically focused on the environment and finding ways to use storytelling, not just to build up an audience, but then actually enlist that audience to getting involved in supporting the causes that will be highlighted and shown on content that's both being acquired as well as original series that are being created. Last year, they did a road to Glasgow, really kind of helping introduce the COP proceedings to much of the public that, where it's a lot of, I think, intimidating and unfamiliar. But with regard to what's happening in April, islands have for the last several years been a real focus and priority for Trammell, wanting to find ways to provide as much support as possible. We do have several events that will be taking place, many working with the UN. So we're having a UN Global Youth Summit that's being hosted by Youngo, the official youth constituency of the COP, the UNFCCC. Also having the UN SDG Media Summit, which has been a once a year in-person event in New York, is being brought to Dallas to have its summit here. Being an environmental organization, but also a media company, made a lot of sense to kind of build alignment around that. And then the UN Family Offices for Sustainable Development. This is a newly created office under the UN Office for Partnerships that really is for the first time ever trying to coordinate and organize family offices to come together that are actually actively working on the SDGs and investing in them. And then more broadly, just participating in the global energy transition. And so there will be an event convening top family offices from around the world here in Dallas. And then, of course, there is an island and ocean event conference that is being built out and designed. A big part of that is going to be putting a spotlight on Tonga, the Kingdom of Tonga. Tonga has been a long partner of EarthX. UN Ambassador Tone has been at EarthX before, will be coming again. And so really finding a way to put a spotlight on Tonga's resilience and recovery. Obviously, the volcano itself wasn't a climate event, but it did highlight the vulnerability and fragility of energy infrastructure within SIDS. And so really finding a way to use that conversation to put a spotlight and mobilize support around Tonga specifically, but SIDS in general. And then other kind of notable speakers and participants will be the Prime Minister of St. Martin, who will be traveling to Dallas and joining us in person as well. And so we're really at the moment of really finalizing that agenda and really, of course, with any event, trying to better understand what the goals and outcomes will be. Because the purpose of events isn't just to bring people together, but how do you do so in a way that's actually amplifying and accelerating those organizations and leaders that are actually already making a difference and finding a way to support them as much as possible. So looking forward to working more closely with Kate and Jabal and the whole GLISPA team. And then, of course, more broadly within the GLISPA network. I've been a fan of GLISPA over the years, and it's really excited to finally be a formal member. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce EarthX, and excited to find ways to align efforts with you all.
Thank you, Matt. And believe me, the respect is mutual, and we look forward to working with you as well. I think EarthX is an amazing platform, and I do encourage all members to reach out to Matt. He's a really gung-ho about it in every sense of the way, and he really loves to collaborate. And so I think it's a great opportunity to have EarthX here with us. I have to admit though, Matt, I got a bit distracted by your new look, but I like it though. I mean, look, 2 little toddlers during a pandemic, it was only a matter of time before all my hair eventually fell. I had to beat that timeline to the punch. So yeah, good to be with you guys. All right. So now I'm just gonna quickly update you about the latest with Bright Spots. Paul already spoke to some of these things through the GLISPA event calendar, which is up and running. And we have a number of exciting Bright Spots events planned for this year, carrying on from the model we introduced last year, where we put real grassroots local community implementers in the same room virtual room as global policymakers to share the lessons learned, tell them what works and what doesn't, and help these decision makers practically tell them what they can do to practically help scale and replicate the initiatives that we showcase during these events. So we want to continue much in the same vein this year with the Bright Spots events, working closely with our collaborators and partners, especially SGP, UNDP, Jeff program. Our first event is carded soon, March 9th. So save the date. This will be a very special episode where we will tackle a problem I think everyone here might be familiar with. That is, how do you weather governance uncertainty and keep some of these long-term conservation efforts going, even when there's a change in government or new politicians who want to go in a different direction? How do you build that resilience into whatever you're trying to start? So I'm really looking forward to this event. It will be virtual. We will have the registration details up soon, so look out for that. It will feature Professor John Day. He's a former manager of the Barrier Reef Marine Park in Australia, which is an example of a type of program that sort of weathered these political storms. You'll also have some from the SIDS context as well. But what is also special about this call is we'll also be featuring like former politicians who can share their perspective from their side and how can we help them in terms of selling the idea of things that were started before them and keeping it on board. So hopefully President Roman Ingasao will be joining us in that call. Not confirmed as yet, but we're trying to get him. And yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting discussion and lively debate. So look out for that soon. And there will also be a part 2 of that event around the margins of the UN Oceans Conference, which will feature a more high-level panel of political leaders. Other Bright Spots events in the pipeline will be, and these will be both virtual and hybrid, events planned in the margins of Biodiversity COP, HLPF, and also we plan to have some live events, hybrid events in September and November for UNGA and COP27. And this will continue where we left off in terms of the traditional programming for our Bright Spots events. We will continue to showcase the best in local island ingenuity in the fields of biodiversity conservation, ocean action, and climate action. So please, if you know of any Bright Spots, get in touch with me, info@glispa.org or jabal@glispa.org. And because we're always looking for new people to showcase, and there's tons of examples all over the world. So please get in touch. And that leads us to my next bullet point, which is the launch of the GLISPA Bright Spots Fellowship, which is another way for us to feature content of Bright Spots in these events going forward. What we're doing here is we're going to have a application program for people to kind of apply to be Bright Spot Fellows. And what we'll do is we'll pick persons from the applications, and we will try to introduce them as Bright Spot Fellows, and they will work with each other and us, the team, to tell their stories on our website, because we have a portal specifically for Bright Spots. As authentically as possible, they will be telling their stories and collaborating with each other to showcase what they've been doing in communities on islands everywhere. So we'll be launching that very soon. The application details will be out very soon. We probably want to get all those applications in by April 5th. And these Bright Spots Fellows throughout the year will be working with each other. They will be part of our events going forward. And also at the end, we'll be able to feature one of these lucky Bright Spots Fellows. They'll sort of vote on it. We will carry one of these for live to attend the Climate Week in New York City and to be part of the live event for UNGA. So that's the plan for the GLISPA Bright Spots Fellowship. I'm very excited about this. And the last thing I want to touch upon is our partnership with the Island Policy Lab, who is a friend of GLISPA and soon to be member, I think. So we haven't officially announced them yet as a member. But what they will do is work with us to kind of all these bright spots that we are featuring over last year and this year. We're going to try to create they're going to work with us to create a sort of report, concise, deeper knowledge and advocacy materials to be used by a variety of audience. So they're going to help us package some of these bright spots and the lessons, the common lessons throughout that we get from them. They're going to put it out in more academically focused lessons. So we're looking forward to working with them through the year on that. And that's our Bright Spots update. Oh, next we're going to feature, Kate is going to speak to our next pillar, which is Local 2030 Islands Network. But before we do that, I realize we're speaking a lot to you, and I just want to take this opportunity now to kind of listen to see if anyone has any comments, reflections on what they've heard already, and just give an opportunity for some discussion. So if you want to take the floor,
and
please.
if you want to welcome Ambassador Zackios, etc., it's your chance.
So yeah, open forum to take the floor. Just raise your hand so I can see.
Apologies, everyone. What are we discussing now? If I may, I'm sorry, I must have missed the last comments you made.
We're just taking a pause now because we kind of, it was a big information dump, and we're just giving opportunity for persons on the calls to make any comments, remarks, questions. Congratulate you. And so
thank you again. And thank you everyone for your kind words. I have no particular comment, just wanted to thank you and Paula for that, and Kate for that comprehensive rundown of events and activities of GLISPA. There is so much excitement that we see in all the things that we've discussed, and we look forward to engaging in them. The internship program, the fellowship programs are key, as I've stated, are one of two of my priorities, and I look forward to learning more and perhaps seeing the applicants as those who will participate in this, and to see how else we can provide them with some assistance moving forward. But I thank everyone. I welcome those that have spoken to new members, EarthX. I welcome you. I work very closely with Ambassador Tone. Of course, we all join the people of Tonga during these difficult times. And I hope that they will also look at joining GLISPA down the road if they're not a member, because I think it's important, including other members from the islands. Because we share very common issues, and I think this is the platform that we can build together to address those issues. But thank you all again.
Thanks, Ambassador. Well, I see no hands raised, so I think we can move on. Kate, would you like to take the floor?
Yes, so, and come on, don't be shy, people, you can talk. But, and also, obviously, keep putting, so there's some great stuff going into the chat. I just wanted to take this moment to give us a update on the other big piece of work that GLISPA is responsible for, along with our member, Hawaii Local 2030 Hub. If we recall the long historical moment, we've just been through a process and actually helped by Audrey Newman in Local 2030 Islands Network to really determine the 2025 strategy of the network. And so I'll talk to that a little bit here. And also we have an incredibly inspiring slide deck, which I think helps all of us kind of get onto the page of what Local 2030 Islands Network is actually trying to do. And as I said, this is probably about half of the work that we're doing in GLISPA right now. And at the end, I will have something that says how you might get engaged with this network. Our messaging on Local 2030 Islands Network is that it's the world's first global island network devoted to the SDGs, with the very important last bit about locally and culturally informed solutions, so that it's coming from islands themselves. Next slide. That islands are leading and uniquely positioned to share innovative solutions that can be scaled locally. And so this is also messaging that GLISPA uses from time to time, but we've kind of really pulled it into Local 2030, I think, in a powerful way. Next slide. And that the network is in Local 2030 is really a peer-to-peer, island-to-island platform for islands, helping islands with the support of strategic partners. And you can see again the some of the GLISPA thinking in that, and that we are working to improve the lives of island people and sharing island solutions with the world. Our bigger kind of perspective is that our vision, which we worked quite long on, is a sustainable island Earth inspired by island leadership and values. So very much the island perspective. And our mission is to catalyze local partnerships and action to achieve the SDGs by connecting island leadership and sharing solutions. Those people that have seen Local 2030 Islands Network presented before will have heard our principles, so they haven't changed. There are 4 principles that the network uses, and those are built from a really long period of all the other things that have gone before, things like the Caribbean Challenge Initiative, the Micronesia Challenge, etc. What have we learned from those? Hawaii Green Growth, the Aloha Plus Challenge, all comes together in this. But firstly, that there is a need to set local goals, that a public-private partnership is needed to help facilitate this process, that those goals need to be measured in some form of measurement, and for somewhere like Hawaii, that is with a dashboard, and that these all end up in concrete action. So it's not just talking, but it's actually doing something. Next slide. Okay, so we do have a first bright spot, which is Hawaii, but I'm actually gonna, because we've presented this a number of times, just ask if we can move to the end of this bit. Next, keep going.
But so
One more.
if you are going to mimic some type of structure that they've already, or even if it's like slightly different, but it's going to be relatively the same in terms of like, this is the impact of the.
I'll just mute Eleanor. So basically, in terms of our early achievements, and this is an achievement that all of you as well have contributed to, we have 15 diverse island economies as members of this network. We've created in 2020 a COVID-19 virtual platform and had 8 Building Back Better webinars. We can see all the rest. We have 2 Island Green Growth initiatives, and I really want to acknowledge Austin from Guam, who's on this call from the University of Guam, who is leading, supporting one of those in Guam, and Hawaii, which are implementation models. We've also launched 2 topic-specific communities of practice, and I think Ambassador Zackios mentioned these, one on clean energy and resilience, and one on data for climate resilience. And then we've also managed to secure $9 million for island resilience from the US government, which we see very much as seed support as well, and builds on early funding from Ireland, GLISPA members, and Hawaii Local 2030 Hub. Next slide. And this is really the network's 2025 strategy that will build the Local 2030 Island Network out to 35 diverse island economies. And we use island economies because it's both subnational islands and also island countries who are members or eligible to be members. And you can see that we have islands like Ibiza or Ireland, which is the whole of Ireland. Then we're focused on 4 island SDG partnerships, sorry, if we could go back, which are what Hawaii and Guam have done. So we need to mobilize another couple of those. And so we're really looking at where are the next likely places that would could use the support. And we are committed to launching 4 communities of practice by 2025. And as we talked about, the next one is on sustainable tourism. That there will be an island circular economy think and do tank, joint leadership statements on climate and SDG policy, and a strong network foundation. So we have a set of very measurable impact goals for 2025. Next slide. This is a little bit more on the communities of practice. And if you are interested in getting engaged or having more information on these communities of practice, please get in touch with us. Both of these have been launched and had their initial meeting. They from that determine what the specific focus of the community of practice is. So these are very broad topics. The initial meeting kind of focuses them down, and then they'll start operate. I think the next meeting of both of these is in April. Next slide. And that's just a quick snapshot of where our island members are. And next slide. So we're also asking for people to get involved. So we're actually hiring a sustainability communications manager. So if you know someone, please get in touch with us. And also not so much a data manager, but a communities of practice manager. So someone managing the communities of practice. Both of those would need to be based in the United States. And as I said before, we have a new community of practice on sustainable tourism. We have a goal of building membership, and this is where those of you on this call can be involved. We're looking for where the next island model or models are, as we talked about just then. And the first in-person meeting of the membership of Local 2030 Islands Network will be in the margins of our oceans in Palau. And that's Local 2030.
Thanks, Kate. Moving right along, that's how to get involved with Local 2030. Now, can you speak briefly on how to participate in projects with GLISPA?
Yes, and I could see a question also, which I can answer. So the so we have a couple of projects that GLISPA is a part of it. We really wanted to highlight here because we want to identify bright spots that relate to these projects. So one of them is with the Blue Nature Alliance on increasing our role, and that is really increasing the Alliance understanding of the political dynamics and context for where they might have sites within GLISPA member countries and territories. So we have been working together on that, but we specifically are looking for, as you saw Jabal talk about, we're working with the Blue Nature Alliance to put some thinking into what it means to build resilience to political change in conservation or other commitments and action. So how do we ensure that action continues when political cycles are changing? And GLISPA, obviously, both in the Secretariat and the network have a strong understanding on that. And then we're also working on identifying bright spots related to a project we're working on with RARE on fishing for climate resilience, particularly on small scale fisheries and climate bright spots. And then with, as I said before, with Blue Nature Alliance on political engagement and ongoing resilience of action. So those two very specific things I would really like thoughts from the network about. Back to you, Jamal.
There's a question in the chat from Karen. How does this network differ from an interact with GLISPA?
Yeah, so we actually have a specific language about that, which we'll share with our members. It's a really good question. So one of the reasons why we're the Secretariat for this network is that we didn't want to start another network. So Local 2030 Islands Network started very much within GLISPA, including with work that was going on in Hawaii with Hawaii Green Growth and the Aloha Plus Challenge, which is a challenge that was kind of what Hawaii's answer to what Micronesia and the Caribbean had done with the Micronesia Challenge and the Caribbean Challenge. So very much the historical ancestry of Aloha Plus Challenge is linked to that. But back in about 2011, when Hawaii was thinking about doing this, and that was very much led by Audrey, who's on this call, we in the GLISPA steering committee were asked what we thought of Hawaii, what Hawaii wanted to do. And we asked Hawaii to show us how a sustainability commitment or a sustainability oriented commitment would look like in an island context. And now 10 years later, we're kind of working on how we take that and mobilize sustainability commitments. So in Local 2030 Islands Network, it has a much, it's both more focused and broader at the same time, which may not make sense. It's more focused in sustainability and climate resilience. GLISPA's work program is more, it's slightly different than that in the things that we're kind of mainly doing. And I think we've been kind of thinking about where to put our political capital as well. We see very much members going into Local 2030 Islands Network. So we're helping to push our islands into Local 2030 Islands Network and have partners sitting here, but both of them are operating together. We didn't want to create another network that required us to fundraise for it, which is one of the reasons why it's GLISPA and Hawaii Local 2030 Hub as a secretariat. It partly supports what we are doing. I don't know if that's a long thing. I could do a whole hour and a half on this, but we'll send you, Karen, what the explanation is in a simple text rather than that long explanation I just gave. So hopefully that's helpful. Jabal, back to you.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so we're now part of the program, which I'm most excited about. This is the member spotlight from Siargao Islands through Vice Mayor Alfredo. So without further ado, I'd like to play this video for you all.
Warm greetings to the Global Islands Partnership and all the participants in this community call. Ladies and gentlemen, marajaw na adlaw sa ato tanan. A pleasant day to everyone. It is our honor and privilege to share our story of resiliency from a Category 5 typhoon that made landfall on our municipality and island on December 16, 2021. Our island was just voted the 2021 #1 island in Asia when one of the two strongest storms that hit the planet devastated our homes, livelihood, and spirit. It has been 2 months since being ground zero of the storm,
video not working,
and here we are, fighting back to regain ourselves and our island. The reality of an island. Our plea for help started on the evening of December 17, 2021, more than 24 hours since the typhoon made landfall. We had lost all forms of communication, electricity, and access, isolating us from the rest of the world. The government itself was a victim, and the first responders came with working satellite phones. These had set up for data connectivity and media crew to record our request to be shown on social media and to other national agencies. There are many more like our island that are experiencing the impacts and wrath of extreme climate change events. Tambayayong, or coming together, was the key to our resiliency. The local government took the initiative to immediately be connected with the internal and external partners to address food security, shelter rehabilitation, and social connection. We have relied on our ability to come together to address this adversity. First step was to immediately address hunger, especially with our island communities that have no way of accessing food and non-food essentials immediately, since they lost 95% of their boats as a means of transportation to the main island. With the overwhelming support of our partners, we survived the first month post-Typhoon Odette and moving now to the start of our 3rd month. We have zero involuntary hunger, resulting to 0 crimes related to hunger. Second was to immediately re-establish public health system. We needed to address potential health outbreaks with the containment of COVID-19 virus through vaccination, waterborne and other communicable diseases by providing access to water, and establish emergency tertiary care of wounds and other health risks of vulnerable groups such as pregnant women, young children, senior citizens, etc. A special thanks to all volunteer health workers who immediately came and aided us. Third was to immediately repair shelters, focusing on strong roofing support to protect their families and have clear mind to think of personal strategies on recovery of livelihood. We do this 100% of a village or barangay being sponsored by a group or organization, and so far we have covered 14 of 20 villages. We appeal to everyone as we still need support for almost 2,300 households at a cost of $100 per house repair kit. Fourth was to hold feeding programs for decent meals. This was started on our second month to slowly allow people to regain their dignity. We anchor a relief and recovery process on the principles of human dignity. Restoring our values from instincts of survival was crucial in making us remember humanity. We are now moving from relief to early recovery by introducing safe spaces as a strategy. Safe spaces for children. The immediate conduct of psychological first aid for children and their families with support from our teachers and our church. It was through these groups that we could help break their trauma to function as a family and as a household. We are now trying to convert our schools to safe spaces for children, and we are in need of help for classroom tents, teachers and student kits, toys and books. Developing intermediate curriculum for post-storm prior to formal learning process is now underway. Safe spaces for families. We need to relocate hundreds of families in coastal communities within the 40-meter easement as prescribed by law, as per immediate drive by national agencies. We are now working with the Department of Environment for land identification and the mural instrument, NGO for housing funding, LGU for social preparation, and private sector for land and planning preparation. Safe space for business and employment, transitioning from ecotourism to social tourism. Our community-based program has helped more than 30% of our population to address poverty, and we are rebooting the system with the opening of our airport last February 22 and tourism program by tomorrow. We never lost our beautiful waves, beaches, and biodiversity. At this point, therefore, I call upon donors, fellow governments, and corporations, please share us your help in the forms of technical, financial, and investment as we re-establish safe spaces for ourselves and other island economies that were hit by climate extreme events. Salamat gajud karajo sa ijo horot. Thank you very much for the opportunity. To extend help, please contact us through the contact details shown. #Bangon del Carmen, #RiseUp del Carmen.
Vice Mayor Koro is on the call with us today, so I just want to invite him to the floor to share more about this journey that they are on, building back better, and ways that members on this call might be able to help and assist. Mayor Koro.
First, thank you very much, Val, for the opportunity to share a story. Thank you to GLISPA. And it's nice to see everyone. I'm actually in the airport because this is the only space right now that our mobile data is working, and I'm about to lose power in a few minutes. So just want to say thank you again. You could reach me in the details provided, or be happy to feedback any questions that might not be accommodated today. If there's any help that you could share, we much appreciate it. We hope that people will not forget that the Category 5 typhoon is the strongest typhoon that ever hit the country. We only had very little casualty. So that speaks volume of the preparations we have done and lessons we have learned since Typhoon Haiyan hit the Philippines, I think 7 years ago. The maturity of our pre-disaster responses towards extreme events, and we're hoping to improve in the post-disaster responses this time. I'm considering that also our governments are sometimes victims, and people tend to forget that, you know, when government and public servants are also victims, it's just really impossible to do a lot of work immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for sharing those lessons. We will be sharing this video with you all and will be featured on our website as well. So please get in contact with Mayor Koro if you're interested in finding out more and helping out. Next on the agenda, we want to discuss.
Yeah, take a photo.
Oh yeah, this is a good time to do that. just want to take a quick break to take a photo, a group shot of everyone on the call. So please turn on your videos if you can. And let me go into gallery mode. So I am going, sorry, I need to full screen. Right. I'm going to take the picture on 3. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And one more because it's 2 pages. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Islands. I don't know what the keyword should be, but good to see you all.
One more time.
One more time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Islands. Whoops, I did that one wrong. Okay, great. And now, yes, we can get back to our regularly scheduled program, which is our oceans. Road to our oceans. Kate, you want to kick us off?
Warm beach.
Oh, we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so I think for GLISPA and Local 2030 Islands Network, we're supporting a few things at our ocean. So we're going to talk about what we're doing, and then we invite people to talk about how they might be engaging. And I might ask Trina also to highlight something in a minute. So just preparing you for that, Trina. But so as we said before, we're launching the new Sustainable Tourism Community Practice. So it'll be one of the deliverables from our efforts there. And also a centralized data hub to host island-led SDG dashboards between Hawaii Green Growth, Hawaii Local 2030 Hub and Esri. And then working on getting the Local 2030 Islands Network as a dependable resource for developing island economy members to increase local capacity to achieve SDG targets. And I think, so in that set of effort, we're looking at having a 1 to 2 hour members meeting of Local 2030 Islands Network hosted by the US and Palau right before our oceans in Palau. And I also wanted to actually just acknowledge Island Conservation, who has a staff in Palau has been helping us, and really thank him for that in terms of some local logistics. And then next slide. We're also working with the Coalition of Fragile Ecosystems, which is a joint initiative between GLISPA and the Mountain Partnership. It's basically how the Mountain Partnership and GLISPA would work together. And through that, they are announcing a funding commitment into the Pacific on sustainable tourism and slow food, building on a project that's been going on in Palau. And then we're working with the Micronesia Challenge partners and members. Maybe Trina, if you're still here, you can talk about that.
Thanks, Kate. Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, so in fact, we had a great call yesterday of the sort of core planning team for the Micronesia Challenge 2030 side event that will be held. We're still waiting to hear whether it will be the first or second day of the event. So our oceans is 13th and 14th of April. All the side events, I believe, will be held between 4 and 6 p.m., something like that, or possibly 3:30 at the end of the plenary and before the opening reception and closing reception. We are hoping to have as many of the leaders that are able to come to Palau there speaking on a panel, and we want to engage with a traditional leader. We're working with Tuti from Island Conservation and Jack Idong from, yeah, to help us identify a traditional leader that could help open and close the panel. And we're working with the Micronesia Challenge Steering Committee on thinking about the ensuring confirming the leaders are there. And we've set up a nice program that will both celebrate what's happened already and then continue. We had a wonderful virtual event many of you were on last April, and now we'll continue sort of more formally, like here's the new more ambitious commitments. I hesitate to say it's not the next 10 years, it's the next 8 years because the target is 2030. So very exciting, and hope those of you on the call who are planning to be in our oceans will join us for that event. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one thing on that, we're looking at the moment if there's any leaders from the Caribbean Challenge countries coming to Palau. We suspect one might be, and I think that might be your country, Ruth, who could take part at the leader level in that event and bring the Caribbean Challenge into the room. We talked about that yesterday. That would be good. So we'll keep working with Palau to identify that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's very much both a celebration, but an effort to try and provide a inspirational springboard to the next 8 years of the Micronesia Challenge, and really acknowledging the huge amount of effort and commitment that's gone into that. I personally feel like I've watched a child grow to adulthood. Anyway, I think I have actually.
Yeah, Kate and I've been there, and some others on this call since the beginning. So yeah, I believe we had heard that the head of state from Antigua Barbuda would be coming. So that would be wonderful if we could bring Caribbean into the panel as well.
And I wanted to, besides Micronesia Challenge, I wanted to call on Brendan, Brendan, if you're comfortable to share what you guys, if you're there, are wanting to, trying to do at our oceans. Not to put you on the spot, also, maybe you don't have internet. Oh, there you are. So if you introduce yourself and tell us.
Yeah, great. I've introduced myself on chat for those that don't know. Brendan Pasisi, and I manage the Niue Ocean-wide project, which is a public-private partnership between the Niue government and Tupia Niue, which is a local NGO set up for conservation, sustainable management of the ocean space here. I think thank you, Kate. We've been working through Kate and with our other partners, Oceans Drive, National Geographic Pristine Seas, and the Blue Nature Alliance, and we're looking at actually whether or not we can get there due to travel restrictions is another thing, but we're looking at different ways, and basically Niue is keen to go back and use our oceans space where we made political commitments back in 2017 in Malta, to go back and inform the global community of, I guess, what we've done, what we said we would do, but we also have another announcement over and above the large-scale marine protected area that Niue put in place. For those that don't know, we have committed and promulgated now the legislation that protects 40% of our entire EEZ. And the other announcement relates to the remaining 60% of our entire EEZ. And also, I guess the third element really is the sustainable financing mechanism that we're working very closely with the Blue Nature Alliance and their team on, which is an innovative way, we think, a new way of putting a value on the ocean estate that we have put under protection. And we look to that as a key element of our sustainable financing mechanism and strategy going forward. So yeah, if we can get that to the point where elements of that are able to be shared, then we hope to also be able to announce that and share a little bit of that information with you folks. Thanks, Kate.
Awesome, and well done, Brendan and team in Niue. So we hope we can see that featured globally this year, wherever that might happen. Any other, Freddie and maybe Jason, if you're still there, Jen, anything you'd like to share about our oceans?
Sure, Kate. Hey, this is Frederick from Rare. Nice to meet everybody. Glad to be here, although it's a little late here in Germany. At our ocean this year, we're planning on hosting a high-level fisheries dialogue, so really to underline some of the things that we care about as Rare, which is small-scale fisheries communities and the challenges that they face in terms of climate change and also overuse and unstable reuse. So the fisheries dialogue is really meant to empower local communities and local mayors, such as Mayor Cora, for instance, to get a voice in these high-level discussions and to really bring attention to the struggle they face and also to the importance of their role in stewarding sustainable coastal fisheries. So it's going to be a set of 2 events mainly. First, a fisheries level dialogue, and then a ministerial dialogue that we're currently pulling together. Unfortunately, I cannot quite share yet when exactly those will take place, but I'm happy to ask as many others. So I'll be reaching out to Kate once we have nailed down the dates so they can share it, hopefully, with this group as well. And please do reach out to me if you want. I'll put my email in the chat if you have any questions or are interested in getting in touch with us. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Freddie. Over to you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we're still figuring out exactly what the Ocean Foundation plan is, but we are planning on attending to represent the Climate Strong Islands Network and support the local 2030 Islands Network. And then something that I'm working on with some private funders and philanthropists in the DC area is if any of you need sponsorship support to go. We know that the conference can be expensive and this is not something that's typically grant funded. To please let Kate know or myself know, and obviously I can't make any promises, but we'll do our absolute best to see if we can get some of those things covered. So we're just trying to look and figure out if we can support it in the best way possible. And then we're also happy to be working with Palau on their carbon calculator that they're working on for the conference and support them in that effort as well. So thanks.
Awesome, thank you, Jason. Jen, if you're there, are you there? It is very early in the morning in Palau, so maybe you're not.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I heard you call me and then I didn't realize that somebody else had gone on, so I didn't want to interrupt. Thanks for giving us a minute, but there's a lot of exciting activities going on pre-conference around youth and activities and youth activation. And it's all really trying to revolve around the space where how do we reach 30 by 30 and engage in the BBNJ discussions to make sure that 30 by 30 is actually reached, and also making sure that that discussion continues on into Panama. So that's something that we're working on pre-conference, so the first 2 days prior to the conference. And of course, thank you, Jason, for the carbon calculator, because that's a big part of the piece of work that we will be working on as well, or showcasing.
Awesome. And also you're involved in the FAO Kofi announcement as well, Jen. So
yeah.
Lots of things. Karen, did you want to talk at all about what Island Conservation is doing with the work? I think Penny has left, yeah? Is Penny here?
Yes, Kate, Penny's left, and I don't know enough of the details. I think it would be better for us to send those in prior to the call, following the call.
I know, I know there's an effort of engagement, so we'll from this we'll try and share what people have said and what we know is going on, because there's other things that we are aware of. I think what we're really focused on is how we can help have a coherent, supportive approach, both for Palau and the outcomes of our oceans, because this is a big meeting for Palau to host. So yeah, just we want to be as helpful as we can be, and also help deliver some things that help this be a success in the Pacific. So looking forward to that. Any other, Austin, did you want to comment? No. Oh, there.
Acting up. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, we're happy to have a delegation from Guam going to Palau. I think and please, say hello if you're passing through Guam. I think a lot of flights will be coming this way to get to Palau. We actually have our 13th University of Guam Conference on Island Sustainability the week before the Our Oceans Conference. So we're ramping that up. It's April 5th through the 9th. And then several of us, including our governor of Guam, Lulian Guerrero, will be getting on the flights on Sunday night or on Monday to get over to Palau for the Our Oceans Conference. So we're looking forward to participating in that and interacting with lots of you. So please reach out if you think you have some extra days. We'd love to fold you into the program, into our 13th conference, and just build momentum into Palau in the following days. Thank you.
Awesome. And I think, so also to remind us that the governor of Guam is the chair of GLISPA. So that is also
member,
awesome. And University of Guam obviously is a member. So this is great. Okay. Any other comments on our oceans? Yeah. No. Any other comments or questions on anything that you've heard? I will give the floor to anyone to say 1 minute last closing, something you'd really like to share, a thought you'd like to share, something that kind of occurred to you, something that you can see a connection between. Is there anyone that would like to take the floor? Please feel free. Go, Oliver. Take the floor.
Thank you. I cannot avoid just saluting everyone and saying what a pleasure it is to be here and seeing you all. And I just want to highlight, because it didn't happen yet, the wonderful exchange that's been happening between Jabal and Alfredo on an idea that you and I had some years ago, which is a frontline initiative with ICLEI. And I think that if we can mobilize mayors and state or provincial governments in islands all over with GLISPA too, there's a great synergy that can happen because of the mainstreaming in climate and nature solutions and things like that. It's local and subnational governments, as you found out from the local initiative, 2030 initiative. They're very much closer to the community. So I think it's probably a very good idea. And I just wanted to highlight this because I think it can help many of us here. Thanks.
Thanks, Oliver. Any other closing thoughts? Otherwise, I think we can wrap up. No. I wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining, and to Jabal and Paula for our preparation, Ambassador Zackios for a really inspiring speech. We're really happy to have him on board. We've been working with him for the last few years as a board member, but now he's taking a really important leadership role in GLISPA as we go through this process of determining our our strategy for the next 5 years. Much like someone else was saying, we're a little bit behind reviewing a strategy. Obviously, COVID did not help. Just to look at whether what we're doing is still on track, etc. And then, yeah, I mean, we'll continue to engage with our members throughout the year. We're always here if you want to know something or be connected to something. We're really here to help do that, as well as anything that you see that we're working on that you're interested in knowing more about or being engaged in. We're really open to that. I wanted to ask Jabal if he wanted to say any other, and Paul if they want to say anything in closing, and also Ambassador Zackios.
Just to say that I think this was a great call. I think we've discovered a lot of things going on that we can collaborate with. And just to plug one more time, Bright Spots, please any ideas, persons you know who might be good for the fellowship. And we'll be sending stuff around so that you can share among your networks very soon. So thanks everyone for joining the call.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Paula, there you go.
Thanks again, everyone. Please remember, if you have any events you would like us to amplify, do not hesitate. You can either contact myself or Jabal. I'll put our email in the chat again, or generic email, info@glispa.org. Thank you.
And Ambassador Zackios, did you have anything you wanted to say at the end, or where?
I just wanted to thank everyone. This is a very positive call. Thank you, Kate, Paula, and Jabal, for the comprehensive nature of your rundown of the work of GLISPA. The Ocean Conference, as you've all stated, presented a real opportunity to progress some of the strategic objectives of the local 2030 initiative. And I hope that those that are going will pursue those, including getting more partners into the work of this amazing organization. So thank you all again, and I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.